Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of my Oracle deck collection. So I am going to just dig right in here in a second, but just a reminder, if you are new here and you love watching stuff related to tarot, Oracle, divination, random things like that, make sure that you are subscribed and don't forget to like this video if you enjoy these kinds of things. And I'm gonna just dig right in. The one that I actually meant to cover in my part 1 that I did not is one of the newest ones to my collection. So just to recap, this is my collection as of February 12th, 2019. So there are going to be some changes throughout the year, but this is where I'm at right now. This is the Living Wheel Astrology Cards by Patrick Fogarty at the Living Wheel. This was kind of a splurge for me because I wasn't really sure how I would use this deck, but I've already gotten so much use out of it and enjoyed it so much that I'm so glad that I picked it up. I am learning a little bit about astrology, particularly layering it with my tarot readings. That was one of my goals for this year. What's really neat about this deck is that there's a really simple little pamphlet. That's really all it is, and it's got for each of the cards a single keyword associated with each one, which I think is pretty cool. And there is a little bit of information here about a couple ways you can use this right out of the gate, and my favorite way so far is actually this as above so below reading, where you pull out the cards that are related to what's happening in the skies right now and on Earth right now, and you just look at all of those keywords and sort of discern what the energies are around you that day. I really enjoy doing this, and I can do this any single day, and it makes me more aware of where the sun is at, where the moon is at, what phase we're in, etc. And it's just, I thought that was a really cool thing to throw in there, so really neat. These don't have any keywords on the cards themselves. They're really high quality. This is the backing. There's this like metallic inlay or embossing, I guess. It's very lightly textured on the back of all of cards. The cards have this matte backings have this matte black look to them, and I think on the fronts as well, most of the fronts, yeah. And it's almost like marbled or watercolory black. It's hard to describe. It's beautiful, and it's not just flat. And it's kind of a brassy gold. My camera's making it look a little bit yellowier than it really is, but it's kind of this brassy gold, really pretty. And then the edges are a matte gold as well, which a lot of us are coming to really love, this matte gold gilding. I love it. So you have the sun, you have the moon in all of her phases, you have a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, you have all of the planets, including Earth, you have Chiron, the north and south nodes, all of the constellations here, as well as all of the 12 houses from the astrological chart represented here. And they do have a Roman numeral on them, so you know which one you're looking at. And then you have all 8 of the seasons, or sections of the seasons, I guess. You have like the first half and second half of winter, first half, second half of spring, first half, second half of summer, and then first half, second half of autumn. And so it's really, really beautiful. I keep it in order. I pull out what I need to sort of lay out and visually represent what's happening. You can also lay out your entire birth chart, which I've not yet done, but is on my to-do list to do soon. So yeah, this is really a fantastic and beautiful tool, and I'm really glad that I picked it up. I don't see myself wanting or needing any other astrology-based decks, and in fact, this is exactly what I think most astrology decks would end up being for me, and so they needed to be really complete. I see a lot of astrology oracles kicking around that have keywords that are like kind of trying to be a regular oracle deck, and I feel like I wouldn't want to pull, I don't know, the sun in Leo if the sun is not actually in Leo, so I don't really know how to use those other decks as beautiful as they are. This is exactly what I wanted in an astrology-based deck, so no complaints. Super thrilled to have it. Love it. Okay, that's enough about that. This next deck is also, I think, really unique and special. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is the Wisdom Keepers Oracle. This is what the backs of the cards look like. They're just beautiful. You can see that I've edged it in a coordinating sort of rose color. I do keep mine in a bag, and so my cards do have a little bit of a bow to them just from hanging because they are quite large. This does come in a really beautiful box, and you can just keep it in its box, but I like to have my decks at hand, so I don't mind having that little tiny bit of a bow that just builds up, and it probably would be less the case, except for I also keep the book with it, and it is quite a large deck. So here's our size reference. Yeah. And I didn't show that for the Living Wheel Oracle. Actually, let me just show you that really quick. So the Living Wheel cards are smaller. These are like more Lenormand size. So they're about that size. Yeah. Anyways, back to Wisdom Keepers here. So these guys, huge, huge, huge cards. Like there's my hand. These are gigantic. But you kind of need, I think, that big size for this one just because of all of the I'm throwing cards around, you guys. What am I doing? I'll have to fix that in a minute. You kind of need that because these images are so detailed. The guidebook is really, really good, and there's a lot of information for each of the wisdom keepers here. But let me show you what these guys look like. They are very detailed, very soulful. Like the way that the paintings are done, these characters are definitely making direct eye contact with you as the viewer. And I think that's one of the reasons why this deck has such an impact on people that work with it and use it and look at it. They're very personal feeling, and the guidebook just does even more to personalize them. There is actually even a mirror card in here, which I will spare you the camera angle, but they're really, really beautiful. The guide, I don't think I would ever use this without the guidebook, because the guidebook is structured in a way where for each wisdom keeper you get to hear their actual story, and all of the wisdom keeper stories include some hardship, something they've had to overcome. And then they always have the my gift to you, and then some questions for contemplation. So this is a very good deck for inner work. I have never used this when working with clients. I use it for my own personal work only. And I found it to be really powerful for that purpose. I just love it. I can't imagine not having it. And I feel like it's really special and unique. I also love the bag that I chose for it with these like beaded looking little turtle guys. There's also, as you probably noticed, quite a bit of diversity in this particular deck. So if you're looking for something like that in your collection, this one is excellent for that. Let's just reach in and see what we get next. Okay, so next I have my Animal or Spirit of the Animals Oracle by Jody Bergsma. Love this deck. The backs are really, really beautiful. I haven't edged it yet, but I think I'm tempted to edge it in like a really bright green, like something from this corner of the backs. This is a really, really lovely Animal Oracle deck. I'm just gonna make sure it's focused good. Yeah, there we go. You get really stunning artwork. It tells you in capital letters what the animal is and a single keyword. And then you have a lot more text beneath that you can look at if you like. These are really beautiful and vivid, and it has my two sort of deal breaker animals in it, which is the ladybug, which I know is an insect, and also unicorn. Those are sort of the two that I really need to have in my animal decks. And so I think all the animal decks that I've ended up keeping in my collection have all had both unicorn and ladybug. So yeah, this is just, it's really beautiful. I had an issue when I first got this deck that I talked about in my weekly deck review, where when this deck was new, it had a bit of a bow and it would snap back and forth in this weird way that was really distracting. But once it sort of adjusted, I guess, to my personal area's weather conditions, I don't know what it was. Once it had been hanging in a bag for a little bit, that completely went away and it doesn't have that problem anymore. So I don't know what its deal was, but it's better now. And the guidebook is really, really good. You get a really nice full color black and white image. Look, I went right to ladybug. It's like it was meant to be. You get a really nice full black and white image, as well as some straightforward keywords and a reasonable length message that talks about how this energy might be showing up for you. And there are also some contrary or more like stuff to work on as well, little areas, little bullet points here that's also super helpful. So I really, really love this. Definitely in my top 2 for animal decks. I've only got 2 I think I kept, plus my Animantras, but really, really love this one. Obviously in a really cute ladybug bag. Love it. Okay, I'm at the 9-minute mark, so I guess I can't show like a ton in each video. I guess we'll see how it goes. So this one is my Amethyst Oracle. I would love to get my hands on the Idiosyncra deck, which is a tarot deck in this same art style by this same artist, but it is very much out of print. And I've seen enough going around online to recognize that people really vie after this, and it's very hard to find. And I don't believe the artist has any intentions of reprinting it, which is a bummer. I love this really crisp art style and the really clear and clean keywords. There's something about this that is just a joy to read with. It's really straightforward. It's also very balanced, and there's space here for sort of my intuition to play. Some of the art, I would say, seems almost a little bit minimalist in a way, and yet there's so much. I love the saturation of color. I think these are called vector images, but I feel like there's everything I need in an oracle. This one reads for me the same way that Oracle of Echoes does. It's got a very different feel, but it's got just as much versatility for me personally that I really love it. Yeah, it's really, really good. Amethyst Oracle. Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, the backs. These are the backs, and this one is also a standard tarot size. It's the exact same size as the Oracle of Echoes. So this one is really, really beautiful. Oh, I didn't show. See, I keep doing this with the size thing. I'm going to show this to you really quick, because the one thing about Jody Bergsma's Spirit of the Animal Oracle that I didn't mention is the size. And it actually is really large as well. So I want to show you that really quick, because that startled me actually when I got these. I'd only ever watched videos and I hadn't really noticed, but they are huge. So these are probably the same size as the Wisdom Keepers, maybe just a tiny bit smaller, but they're enormous. So you get a lot of space to really enjoy the artwork, and I think that's partly why these titles and the title and text down here doesn't bother me as much, because there's so much. Anyways. Sorry for being a little bit all over the place, but I wanted to share that because I think that that's important information to have if you're considering this deck. But moving right along, let's talk about one that I have mixed feelings about. That is the Earthly Souls and Spirits Oracle. Now, I've seen some walkthroughs of the first edition of this deck, I believe, and that had, I believe, tarot-sized images. And it was a little bit different. I think there was different artwork and different keywords. It does come with this fold-out 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It's a little bit thicker than a standard paper, but it's paper. And on the back is this. I find this really difficult to look at, actually, but it's got a list of the cards down the left and some keywords associated. What's really missing from this deck for me is any kind of explanation for how the artwork is connected to the meaning of the card. And so I feel like there's quite a few cards that are very disjointed for me. This did come, like, it's again very, very big. So here's our Oracle of Echoes. Let me pull a backing here. Here's our Oracle of Echoes. Again, huge. I think this is like a postcard size is what it feels like to me. And I believe she does get these printed locally, and it did come with sharp corners. So I rounded the corners with a small corner rounder and then edged this deck in black. But I have to say, some of the images and keywords just don't make sense to me. Some of them I can see it. Like this is a great one for meditate. This looks fine for peace and for blossom. But then some start to like I don't get it. Like this one is faith, and yet she's in like a glass container as if she's on display or somehow feeling stuck or trapped. I don't get faith here necessarily, but I mean, it could just be me. I do know that this artwork was selected and images and keywords were applied. And I know that she has another deck that is, I think about goddesses or something that also uses some of these same images, but with different keywords. So that, you know, if you've been watching my channel for a bit, then you know that a lot of times when decks apply artwork to keywords rather than making the artwork with those keywords in mind, sometimes it just doesn't resonate for me. And I think this deck does do that. That being said, the artwork is really, really gorgeous, and I really appreciate the art, and I enjoy it for the art, and I don't see myself passing this on anytime soon. I really enjoy pulling this out around Halloween time, which was when I got it, and I think I would continue to do that as altar cards. But they're definitely, this doesn't read well for me, so it's not a deck I would reach for to do readings with, if that makes any sense. And I almost wish for that purpose that there was no keywords. And in fact, I might at some point, now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually trim the keywords and then re-round the corners and literally just read this deck intuitively, whatever messages come up. Like here's a good one. This one says goddess, but it's got these two girls holding hands. And I feel like this needs like a connection or sisterhood or love or I don't know, some other keyword that more accurately matches the image. So yeah, I struggle with using this reading wise, but I think it's the keywords that throw me because they just don't really match. And if I could just read this by looking at the images, I think I could get some fantastic messages. So I may actually do that since I love the artwork so much. I'm really tempted to do that now. Yeah, so I will report back if I do that. But this is beautiful. These are the backings. The photograph of the moon phases, or this particular backing was created by Terry Ann Foss's daughter, Sarah Foss Robinson. And then Terry Foss is the artist behind all the paintings. So really beautiful. I feel like my Oracle deck videos are going to be even longer than my tarot ones because I feel like I have a lot more to say about Oracle decks. But anyways, I'll do one more and then we'll call this part 2 finished. So this last one that I'm going to show you in this part or in this video is the Self-Love Oracle by Janet Chewy. This is a self-published, or rather independent deck. You can purchase this at Janet's website, which I believe is, let's see if it's on here. Oh, is there a booklet? Yeah, here we go. janetchewy.com. And there is a, oops, I keep bumping the camera. There is a really nice booklet that has fantastic messages. It is staple bound. And it is 74 pages, and you get about a page and a half for each card, sometimes a lot less. It's a little bit, actually it's a little bit all over the place, to be honest. Sometimes you get a little more than a page, sometimes you get about half a page. So it does vary quite a bit, but it is really lovely. And the theme of self-love is very present through the artwork and the keywords. This is what the backings look like, and it is silver gilded. My gilding has worn a bit, but I have used this deck quite a bit. And the images are really, really beautiful. The only complaint I think I would have is that some of these images, there we go landscape instead of portrait, and that drives me crazy. But the images themselves are good. The text is fantastic, and this really is good for self-love or self-acceptance work. And if you don't have a deck like that in your collection, this is one that I definitely think is worthwhile. I do pull this into my self-worth profile reading that I have up on my shop, and I also pull this anytime I want to pull cards related to self-love, self-worth, just because it's really fantastic for that, and I don't have a whole lot of decks in my collection that are like that. I love this little guy. And there's not a ton of these landscape cards, but I do think that the images do accurately reflect the messages, and I do believe this was one where she did create a lot of this artwork to go in the deck, but there are some I think that may have been applied after the fact, and yet I've never felt that disjointed feeling with this one that I have with some others. So I really like this one. I definitely recommend it. And if I remember correctly, it was very affordable to pick up on her website, and I think it ships from the Philippines. And I think it was like, I want to say it was like less than $30 Canadian altogether. It took a little while to come in, but it did come in and was well worth the wait. So that is one I would definitely recommend. And it does come in a nice sturdy 2-piece box, assuming it's still available in the same edition. So yeah, and there's 44 cards. Really, really nice one. So I'm going to call it there for part 2, and I will see you guys again in part 3. Remember to hang around and hit the bell, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.